I am now going to bring out the senior senator from the great state of Minnesota and a 2020 Democratic presidential candidate. Please welcome Amy Klobuchar. Amy,
how are you?
So great to see you.
Thank you.
Got a lot of fans here.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so Trump was in Minnesota.
That's right.
He says he can win it. That is the state that they are...
That's wrong. So.
That's wrong?
Yeah.
Well, that's the one they think they can flip.
Well, that is not going to happen as long as I'm leading the ticket. And one of the reasons that I think we need to bring more people in is because we've got to win not just Minnesota, which was close last time in his race, but then I came storming back in 2018 and won every Republican congressional district. And what we need to do is to extend that out to Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. I just went to all of those states, met with carpenters, met with dock workers, people who he had made promises to that have been left behind by President Trump. Well, and so what I want to do is build a blue wall around those states.
Oh, I heard that term last time.
But
didn't work out so
different.
well.
I'm going to make him pay for it.
Well, I think you probably could. I hope you can.
Yeah.
Do you think the Democrats, though, are too into identity politics? I mean, a lot of people in the middle of the country, which you represent so well, they see that D next to someone's name, and it's just something they can't get behind. Why is that? Why is that D so toxic?
Well, first of all, it's not toxic to everyone. And we have a real fired-up base right now, and that is going to be so important. People who have felt hurt by this guy, hurt by his rhetoric, wake up in the morning seeing him go after their entire city and calling it rat-infested. Those things have happened. But when you get to the middle of the country, his trade war has hurt a bunch of our farmers. They've got soybeans mounting up in bins. His rhetoric is not what people want to have their kids listen to, and they have to turn down the TV every single time he goes on TV. I remember the days when if you didn't agree with the president, or maybe you didn't even vote for them, you'd be proud to say, this is my nation and this is my leader. That's not true with this president. When you look at what he has done, so to me, this is about economics and not standing up like I would and taking on the pharmaceutical industry and not doing anything when it comes to training people and making sure they're ready for the jobs of tomorrow and immigration reform. It's about all those things, but it's also about values. We believe in America, and he has put patriotism behind his own interests. That's what those calls were to the head of Ukraine and the call to the president of China when he's looking for dirt on an opponent. He's putting his own political interests, his own partisan interests, his own business interests in front of America. And that's why I see a different kind of election. I see a fired-up Democratic base, and with someone like me leading the ticket, where you can bring in independents and you can bring in moderate Republicans and you can win big, not just win, and then you can govern in a different way. Because this guy has divided people in a way that we have not seen in this country.
So what do you see as your path to the nomination?
Well, my path, first of all, starts with this show, because they say I haven't had a viral moment. So going on the same night as...
Let's get Howard Stern out here and really start a viral moment. We'll get
going on the same night.
Howard, we need a viral moment.
Right now. What could go wrong? You know?
No.
But no, seriously. And that's what these debates have been, and I have been on a steady course. I think Americans don't want the loudest voice in the room anymore. They got that in the White House. I think they want someone that is tired of the noise and nonsense and want to get things done.
Right. I don't know if those moments are so great. I mean, Kamala Harris had moments, and she's not doing too good. You know? You're right. Moments don't make...
Yeah, and I think that moments work when they actually happen, that people don't manufacture them.
Right.
For me, in the Kavanaugh hearing, I didn't exactly predict that the nominee was going to ask me if I blacked out. But I had a moment where I had to respond in that moment.
Right, I remember that.
Yes, and I did.
Because he likes beer.
Right.
Right. And he was... asking if you like beer just as much.
Exactly. And I showed some grace under pressure, and I think that's really important in a president. So for me, it is, of course, going to those states. I don't have as much money as a number of my opponents, but I have enough money to win. We're doing this the right way, the grassroots way, and building up endorsements and support. And that's how you win an election in America. And that's the path
I mean, obviously, this is a fight between two wings of the party, which is almost every election. There is a center in the Democrat, a center-left wing. You're plenty liberal. You're plenty progressive. And then there's a far left, which I think would be represented by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We all like them, too. Are they too left? Is Elizabeth Warren too far left to get elected in a general election?
Again, I want to win big. And if someone is looking to kick 149 million Americans off their current health insurance in 4 years, then I'm not your candidate.
You're not on board,
if you want to use a bunch of hardworking people's money to send rich people's kids to college for free, then I'm not your candidate. And just because people say ideas are bold doesn't mean they're bold. They may be bad. And so my bold ideas are this: make it easier for kids to afford to go to college, but don't forget that there are many paths to success. And that right now we have a huge need in our country for jobs that require 1- and 2-year degrees. And we should not leave those people behind.
Right.
Remembering that we need to take on farmer prices, a public option, take on climate change in a big way, something that this president has just gone backwards on. Work with the rest of the world, not leave our allies behind. Don't coddle dictators. And when I was listening to the panel before, I was not in Washington, but I was not for the Iraq War, but I would never leave those Kurds left for slaughter like this guy has done.
Yeah.
That is not what America does.
Right.
That's not what you do. You honor your commitments. You make your promises and your threats, and you keep them. And the whole world is watching right now.
So I think, to get back to the center-left argument, I think you're probably more in the, again, center-left, not far-left. And it's going to come down to one candidate from each. Now, right now, it's Joe Biden, who is the leader of the center-left part. One applaud. And I've always said, I like Joe. He's never my favorite. But if he's the guy to beat Trump, I was like, let's not kill him, because if he's the one. But I must say, my confidence that he can beat Trump is waning. He looks like a depreciating stock to me. And I've always said that also, we were talking about age with Howard. I've always fought against ageism because it's a judgmental thing that, very few, you can do that about very few other things in America anymore. It's a case-by-case basis. Elizabeth Warren is 70, she looks 50 and acts 20. She took selfies with 4,000 people. I don't even know if I trust someone who wants to be president that much. Joe, I don't know. And Bernie, just had a heart attack. I think I'm not trying to get Joe out, but we do need someone in the center who's, say, younger and femaler. Honestly,
Right. So my case is this.
Yeah.
I have won every single race every single time, all the way back to elementary school, where I have. These guys always say they've won everything. So when my slogan I've discarded was "all the way with Amy K." Yeah, that's not good.
Is that true?
Yeah. So, and I've done
and what
that
was the upshot of
by
that?
going
What happened?
By going not just where it's comfortable, but where it's uncomfortable.
Right.
By bringing people with me, by reaching out to people, by unifying them and seeing that common ground. And that's how I've gotten things done in Washington as well.
I think you could be the dark horse, because, it is going to come down to that battle. And maybe they're at loggerheads. This has happened at conventions before. And they have to find somebody who's a compromise. And, you're a woman. Let's face it. When you're
I am.
But that's just important in today's politics. If you're a white man...
Well, a lot of women won hard races. Laura Kelly, new governor of Kansas, right?
Right.
And you saw that in the
But I'm saying
election.
it's a lot easier to be on the center side of things, as Obama was, if you are not a white man. If you're a white, straight man, it's like, you know, then you're suspect a bit. But a woman
But
can
I
pull
want
it
to
off.
make it clear, and I am excited to be one of several women in this race,
Right.
which is just unheard of in our politics. But I'm not just running on that.
No, I know, absolutely.
Right, and that can,
No.
we can get to that, and then you lose a lot of people.
Right.
I remember being up in northern Minnesota with our steel workers, and they would always, I finally would say, you know what, I'm not running as a woman, I'm running on my record, and if I would just run as a woman, I wouldn't win, because they would be like this. I said, because half the voters are men. And they go, yeah, that's exactly right. So I think what that is about is
So
running on your
Minnesota.
ideas, running on your merit, running
Right.
on turning ideas into action and having people's back.
All right.
Instead of just going to the extremes all the time in our politics. We have that right now. And I just see a better future for our country.
I think your moment is to come.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you
Senator
very much.
Amy Klobuchar, everybody.